Okay, in this video, we'll talk about how Selenium internally works. On top of it, how does we use the driver manager to control our browser automation? So as you all may know, Selenium WebDriver is an independent project that got merged with Selenium in 2009. So WebDriver is a separate project in Selenium library, which can help you to automate any browsers, Chrome, Firefox, IE, Edge, Opera, etc. The beauty of the WebDriver came because it can support multiple languages. So if you are a Java person who knows the Java basics, then you will be able to use Selenium WebDriver. For example, if you want to use softwares like Cypress, or if you wanted to use softwares like Puppeteer or WebDriver IO, then you need to learn only JavaScript so to automate. But in the world of automation, WebDriver gives you power. Whatever language you know, you can automate with that language. How does it work? It works through something called API. So you can write in any languages, though Java is the most preferred language for Selenium or front-end automation. So if you are writing a code in Eclipse or in any other IDE through any of these language binding, then it internally goes and calls in Selenium 3.x JSON Wire Protocol, which is outdated right now. So which internally calls the browser driver. For example, this is a driver. This is a software which is given by the Chrome organization, which is Google's library, which is going to give you the Chrome driver, which internally helps you to talk to Chrome. This is built by the Chrome team, right? So this is a native library, which is browser driver is given on their website. You can download and integrate to the Selenium. This is how it used to work in Selenium 3.x. However, in Selenium 4.x, this is replaced by W3C protocol. The reason is they want to standardize all the conversation with a simplified way of working. So it is browser automation, the one protocol which is standardized is Selenium WebDriver. That's why it's so popular. Now, given it is a W3C protocol, it is a pure API call. It's a RESTful API call. So if you are going to go and say launch a browser, then you call a get method in Java, then which is going to call an internal API through the W3C protocol, which is going to go and talk to Chrome driver, which is a binary which is running as a local server in your machine, then which internally goes and invoke a browser. So this is how internally it works. It loads the URL when you do a get. When you say .close, it is going to close the browser. This is how it internally works. Now, the problem here is basically, where do I get the Chrome driver from? Or how do I interact? I need to have this, correct? To have this, first, if you go to your learning part, so let's go back to the documentation, right? So let me close this. Let me take you through the documentation. Okay, let's go to something called selenium.hq website, which is the official website for the documentation. Okay. If you go to the Selenium website, which is an official website, the new website is selenium.dev, which has all the documentation that you may need to automate with the Selenium WebDriver. In one of the page where you can able to find out what are the different drivers you may need to have to automate a specific browser. For example, if you want to automate Chrome or Chromium, then you need to go to the Chrome specific download page. So if you jump into the Chrome driver page where you will see different versions available, this is supplied by Google team, right? So if you go to the latest browser, we are currently on 104. If you go inside, they give you the binaries for every different platform. If you are using Linux, then you can use Linux 64. If you zip it, you get the binary. For Mac, get the Mac 64. Or if you are M1 chip, then it is a Windows 32. Also for Windows 64-bit, it is the same zip. You'll get an exe file inside. So you need to download them and then you need to write a code to connect them, which is great, right? Tomorrow, if you get a new browser version, then the biggest problem here is you need to go and download the next version, 105 or 106, depends on the latest version. And if you see naturally, every month you get a new browser released in Chrome, next version is released. So when you get a new version of Chrome browser, then every time you need to go manually download them, connect into your Eclipse or IDE, make them to run, which is a painful task. Even if you're a single person, it is manageable. If you're working a team of 10 people, 20 people, 40 people in automation, purely not possible. Practically keep updating everybody with the latest version. And that too, when you want to run against a Jenkins pipeline, it becomes a painful activity to manage the drive. That is why we got a new project which was introduced by Boni Garcia, who is a Spanish professor who wrote this project called WebDriverManager long ago. It is not something available for last few years. It has been there for a while, long time. And people started using it for the last 2-3 years very effectively because it becomes painful to manage multiple browser traffic. So Boni Garcia's WebDriverManager project is an open source project which is available in GitHub, where you can able to go and identify the project and start using it. There's a very good documentation available when you go to bonigarcia.dev/WebDriverManager. He wrote very clearly talking about why should you use his project, which will help you to become the pain out of managing the drive. So I'm going to help you with a short step how to manage this. If you remember, this is how we used to write in the previous code base. If you want to call your browser by any chance, you have to write System.setProperty. Then you need to download the driver based on your wherever you have in the machine. Then you need to write the code called Chrome driver. This code is to launch your browser, right? Chrome driver. And that we go driver equal to new Chrome driver. So this is the code we need to write, right? So this code used to work very good as long as you have a write compatible browser native driver correctly downloaded, kept in your machine. But the pain here is, what if the browser version is changing? I do not want to maintain it. Is there a software which can automatically manage it? That is why the birth of WebDriverManager helpful. So for replacing this code with the right browser options or browser driver options in this case, we need to first go to pom.xml, add the project, right, called WebDriverManager. So you can search in your Maven repository. So the latest version I do see here is 5.2.1. Once you save it, you can able to go and see in your Maven dependencies, the project is downloaded, jar is available. Here are the packages available to access your all the Java code of them, right? So now once you set up this, the next line of code that you have to write is something called WebDriverManager, right? And you have static methods dot, and you have to call Chrome driver because I'm going to launch the Chrome, right? Chrome driver. Now this, if you see how this method is built, it is quite interesting because it calls internally another method called Chrome driver manager. So if you let's go and see what is inside the Chrome driver manager. Chrome driver manager is basically a class, right? And inside the class, you have got the constructor which is being built, and it's internally going to help us to manage the browser. So now let's see what is the next method we should call as a change setup. This will help us to download the right Chrome driver version based on your Chrome browser. There's a lot of code written to clear the cache, to set up the HTTP client, and find what browser you have and what browser version you wanted to download. So what it does is the manage method goes and looks in your .m2 repository where it can go and do it. If you are in a Windows machine, then you can Windows run command and type .m2 folder, then you will get to see the Maven repository. Now, if I'm in a MacBook, I'm going to go to, right? I'm going to go to the go-to, and inside my go-to one option, I'm going to go and bring the path that I wanted to. Okay, now let's take a look. I wanted to go to this particular .m2 folder where I have to have the Maven repository. So if we go to the Maven repository, let me go and switch right as a list. So in this repository, remember, I need to go back to the Eclipse to see what is the pom.xml structure, IO GitHub Boni Garcia. So inside the IO GitHub Boni Garcia, you will see that particular project will come and stay here. right? But however, the download is going to be available under your Selenium path, right? Under your Selenium path. So where is the Selenium path? It's going to sit inside the cache. So let me go back to my folder. Look at the cache folder where I'm going to have the Selenium option. So where it is going to download the Chrome driver for me. If I'm going to use the latest browser, it is going to go and check 103 is the latest browser I have. Then it's going to download, right? Let's go and now see what happens right now. So I go back and write the code setup, right? So when I do this, let's see what happens. It's going to go right click and run this. It will download the Chrome driver latest version if it doesn't exist. If it doesn't exist, it will automatically download. If it does exist in .m2 folder, it will use them to launch the browser. The browser is launched, right? The browser is launched. Let's go and check what is the version of the browser. It should be 103, based on which it download the driver version. In case if my browser version changes from 103 to 104, then it will automatically download the 104 version. Just to explain this little better. So what I can do is I can go back to my driver version 103. Let me download this, move to bin, and try to run this again. Let's see what will happen right now. So in this case, what should happen is the Chrome driver specific version should get downloaded automatically from the WebDriver manager and put it here, and then it has to set the path. Exactly what it did. It downloaded this particular one and the Chrome driver binary here and started to interact with the browser. So which means you don't have to manage the driver. The WebDriver manager project will manage it for you. That's a fundamental thought. In case, Babu, I don't know which path it is setting up the Chrome driver, then what you can do is you can use system dot, right, get property, right? You can do get property and type the same property, right? Depends on your browser, right? So you can go and let's do this. Now it will be able to tell you where is the property. So if I go and get this property, I can print this. Let's print this and see what happens. Right, so that should help me to tell me where is the driver got downloaded and available. You see here, it is available inside my. So Babu, can you tell me if I have to change tomorrow this browser to another version? I don't want automatically picking a particular version like 103. Can you help me? I wanted to launch a particular version. Yes, you can do dot and able to change the architecture you wanted to run. You can also say which browser version you wanted to do it. You can tell which browser version you want to do. Tell like, I want to run like 101, right? So you can able to tell exactly what versions you can want to run against. This also can help, but making sure your browser is also in this mission is exactly the same as what you have typed in. If it is there, then it will work fine. Okay, will it work for grid? Yes, absolutely, it will work for the grid as well, right? If you go to the documentation website, then you will end up in seeing the documentation is purely available. As I told you, let's go back to the site and where you can able to see the documentation. So go to this documentation folder where there is a PDF available for an offline learning. Click on download. You should end up in seeing the entire well documented until 5.2.1. It is available. You can read it. It's a decent documentation for you to get started for the WebDriver manager, including known issues, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Now, the last thing we want to learn is what if you want to change the browser versions or browser itself. For example, I want to change from WebDriver Manager to Edge. Is it possible? Yes, change it to Edge driver. That's all you have to do. For understanding, I'll also do Edge. Here you have to convert to Edge driver, right? That's all you have to do, right? Edge driver. And let me change this to Edge driver. Then we are all set. This time it should download the Edge version latest. And if it doesn't exist, then it should launch the Edge accordingly. So which means the entire driver management is taken care by WebDriver Manager. That simplifies most of your driver management. So it becomes super easy for you to work on this. So you see that Microsoft Edge WebDriver started successfully. Now the browser should come anytime soon. Right, you got the Microsoft Edge. I believe it makes a lot of sense for you right now. With that said, thank you for listening to this video. See you in the next video. Thank you, everyone. Right, thank you.